Gecko disassembly video.
You can now slide this backwards.
Taking care of your blaster.
Because you kind of need to move this forward and then upwards, and the pusher is in the way of that.
Welcome to the Gecko Maintenance and Repair Series. Hello friends, hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? Rainbow here with yet another Gecko mod video. It is Gecko week day number 6, and today I want to bring you a different series of videos which was meant to be a standalone, but now it's perfect for Gecko week. So I'm going to start this series here. This is going to be a continuous series that will go on even after Gecko week has finished, and it's the Gecko Maintenance and Repair Series. Most of these videos are inspired by problems that some of you guys had and approached me about a solution, and because I've been recording little videos for each and every of you individuals to how to solve your problem, I thought why not just do like an entire YouTube series on these things, because other people might need those answers as well. And I have done this huge how to assemble and build your Gecko video, and then people approach me, but how do I get to this part? How do I get to this part? So this today will be a disassembly video of the Gecko with a bunch of tips and tricks along the way, stuff that you might not know of, might not focus on. It's going to be a bunch of tips and tricks from me, who has built and rebuilt and disassembled about 150 Geckos at this point. This video may also be helpful for those of you who are thinking about upgrading their Gecko with Gecko 2.0 parts that I've shown in previous videos this week. Throughout the video, I'm going to point out where you would change what in order to put in the Gecko 2.0 parts. Now, if you're watching this at a later date and you have a Gecko 2.0, some of this stuff may look different, because in this first assembly video, I've taken my old testing blaster, which has not had any Gecko 2.0 upgrades at this point, because that is going to be the one build that most of you guys can relate to. So if you have a Gecko 2.0, some of these things may be different, and that's just gonna be fine. And before we start, just a quick thing. I have recorded this video on my old phone, and there was a little bit of a camera shake, and I didn't know it at the time, so please excuse that.
Alright, let's get started. Magazine out. First thing. Done. So, all the little screws, the M2 screws, the ones in the handle, the ones up the top here, the ones here, they are screwed directly into plastic. And as I said in my assembly video, do not over tighten those, they just need to be tight. It's the same thing when you take them out. You just want to kind of unscrew them until they're loose, and don't overdo it, because you want to keep this top thread. So right now, I've just taken this little screw out, and when I put this back together, and I can't stress this enough, I've heard several people having issues with small screws into plastic because the thread is worn out that quickly and they can't get it back together. I have taken this one apart so many times and it still works, so here's what you got to do. Take it out just like so, don't over unscrew it. Now when you get it back in, just like, you know, be patient and don't just randomly, you know, put the screw back in and tighten it, because that you're probably going to ruin your thread. What you're going to do is you put it in, and then you kind of go the wrong way around, so kind of doing the left until you feel that the screw kind of drops into that old thread. And now when you think that you got it, just slowly tighten it. You should have no force required to tighten this screw back in. Like you can see this, I'm not using any force whatsoever, and it just goes in nice and easy, which means I am in the thread that's already there. If you need to use force, then you're actually cross-cutting your thread, and you should stop doing that immediately, because right now this is tight. Again, do not over tighten. This is just like so, and it's tight. I have this screw like for the grip. I have opened, taken these out and put them back in. I don't know, I can't count anymore, and they still work, and they still work fine. So just a little bit of patience. Whoops. Just a little bit of patience with these screws when you take them out. There we go. Don't over unscrew them. Now we take them all out, and they all still work. So that's what you got to keep in mind. Okay. So first thing, this is how you take the grip section off. Very self-explanatory. 4 screws. Take them off. Slide this one down, and you are done. Now, The one thing that you probably will never ever have to take off are the sights. So the one back here and the one in the front here, that will, you know, unless you want to switch those out. But if you don't need to switch them out, you just leave them on there. If, you know, that becomes loose because you've over tightened these screws or whatever, you can take this out, put a little bit of glue underneath, and then it's going to be solid in place. But, yep, alright, let's go. The next thing I do is take out the frames. There's 2 screws, one up here and one on the other side. It's actually the one I've been doing the most, taking the frames apart. Oops, not enough. Alright, and there you go, slide this off and done. One thing that you don't need to take apart in order to fix the Gecko is your mag release or mag system. So if you have the mag detent in here, you can leave that in place, no worries. If you have the mag release, whatever mag release it is, you can leave that in place, no worries. If there's any fixing that you need to do on the mag release, then you take out these 2 screws here, that one there and that one there. If you want to take the mag release apart, this one in particular, you take out this screw, just like that, and then this comes off. There we go, and that's it. And then this one you take out when you take the entire thing out. Now, same thing in these mag releases, same as the mag detent, these 2 screws are actually screwed into plastic. So similar idea. If you take this out, do not over unscrew it just until it's loose and you can feel the screw coming out. Same thing on the side here. There we go. And now you can take this out and the thread in here will still work. By the way, if you ever need to fix those mag releases, I do have a video on how I assembled this one in the first place, but this is the Adiya lever mag release, right-handed version. And if you ever need to fix any of this, if you've taken this out until here, what you do is you pull this forward, then this, whoops, then this should be able to just come out, right? And now this kind of tilts up and opens up like so. And then this just sort of comes up, slides out, there is your spring, and that's all the pieces to this, okay? We're putting this back together. Just make sure that the spring is seated where it wants to be seated. There we go, like so. This one, the little pin goes in that hole there and then just sort of folds down like so. A little bit forward, hold it like this, put the pin with this side up, put it through here, and then that's done. And you could technically put the lever on right now, but I always prefer to have the lever on last. As I'm talking about this at the moment anyway, I know it's a disassembly video, but let's put this back into place to show you something that you want to be aware of when you ever switch these things out. It's when you put those screws back in, do not just tighten one side all the way. So now remember, going a little bit left until I feel, there we go, you can almost hear that. Don't screw it all the way, because you kind of want to level these 2 sides out. Again, going a bit left, there we go. Alright, now this has to be centered. If I go and screw in this one tight and then that one, this one is pulled to one side and then that's not sitting in there centered, and you get some problems with it moving back and forth. So now a little bit on this side and a little bit on this side, and now we can see kind of, yep, we're pretty decent. A little bit more here, and then that's it. Now this comes back into here, just sits on there, and this works nice and easy. But enough about assembling, we're talking about disassembly. Alright, next up, main part of the Gecko. The easy one is the rail down here. It's just 2 screws. You don't even have to take them out all the way, just open it up like so. And then you can just take this off. You don't even have to take this all the way apart. There you go, this is your trigger spring right there, sitting underneath. If you need to take this out, what you want to do, you don't have to do that now because it's on and under a lot of tension because it's currently being pulled. So the moment you get all the other stuff out, the trigger will slide forward and there's no tension on this spring, and then you can take a pair of tweezers and just lift it over one of the screws. You don't have to take these screws out. You can leave them where they are. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll leave them where they are. Next up, you kind of want to get that priming handle off. So again, 3 screws up the top, and for whatever reason I have 1 Allen key and 2 Phillips head screws in here. Same idea. I have put this top on and off for so many times, and they still work. They still all cut in the threads that they should. So just take them out. Don't over unscrew them. You kind of can leave them stuck in there to make sure you get the thread right. When you come back in, you don't have to take them out all the way. Same here. Now this should come out. There you go. And if you leave those screws in here, you're gonna make sure that you get the thread again. Now this here, same scenario. You got this spring up here, and in order to get this priming handle off, the bottom screw has to come out. This one doesn't. This one can stay. That one has to come out in order to get this off. So what you want to do, I actually prefer to get the spring off first, so that there's no tension, it doesn't jump anywhere. Now the little screw down here is what you want to take out, like so. Put it on the side. There we go. Now this is all good. As I said, this one you don't need to remove ever, really. So next up, the 2 screws on the side in order to release the priming handle. Wrong one. That's the one I want. It's number 1. In number 2, it's 2 6mm and 3 screws in heat inserts, so nice and easy. And now this can slide off forward. Done. Alright, there you go. And this one, if you have glued this in, it should now stay in place. If you haven't glued this pin in, the moment you pull this off, your pin will kind of drop out to one side, so be aware of that. This one can stay in there. You don't have to actually get to that. It's going to be fine. We're going to take out the entire assembly, but in order to get to things like the catch or something, if you have my spring swap mod catch housing installed, then you could just take this apart and take the front off. But I wouldn't do this at this stage because I have a spring in here and a slight return spring. So what we do, you take an old dart, you pull your trigger, you sit this in here just so your catch doesn't jump about the moment you pull this out. Then there is the 4 screws in the turnaround, 2 on this side, 2 on this side. Let's get those out. If you've purchased your Gecko as a complete build from me, these might be a little tough to get out. It's because they have a thread lock on them to make sure that they don't go anywhere on their own. But yeah, they are in heat inserts, so it's all fine and good. Make sure to open that completely. There we go. And that's done. Now, you can now slide this backwards. And see, this is the trigger jumping at you, and now there is no tension on this anymore. You can slide this backwards and slide this out. Set this aside for now. So, see, this is what a Gecko looks like that's been used for quite some time. Nice. So, if you needed to get to any of these now is a good point to do it, because you have no tension on that spring, so you can just take your pair of tweezers and lift this over just like so, and then this comes out, and there you go. You have your trigger out and about. You got your frame, front of the frame done. Let's put it here. All right, let's look at that real quick. So in order to take this apart, I actually would leave this in here, but if you need to work on your catch or whatever, now you just take the dart out, and then out comes your catch, and the catch spring, be aware to not lose that. And that's all that. But for now, we're going to leave this as it is, because in order to get this entire unit out, you have to remove the pusher right here, because you kind of need to move this forward and then upwards, and the pusher is in the way of that. So there's the 2 screws right here. You can do this like so with everything assembled. Take one out, and 2. And don't confuse these screws with any others. These are 8mm M3. There's only 2 of 8mm, and that's right there. The 2 6mm are on the sides here. Right, now what you want to do is you want to push this forward. Right, your pusher is going to move if you don't hold it. So hold this, push this forward, and then just drop out the pusher. There you go. That's the pusher. Yours might look different depending on which one you get installed. And then you kind of push this forward and slide this out. Disclaimer, if you have the longer barrel that kind of sticks out the front, this might not work like this, and you have to loosen these 4 screws to get this apart, just to get this angle, okay? And now you take out this, and so there you go, you got your slide. If you needed to change the catch housing, you know, these are 4 screws right here. Did you take out heat inserts in there? Nice and easy. If you need any repairs on this part, you can do this now. Otherwise, your slide is done. And this is your turnaround plunger assembly. If you need to swap anything here, if you want to swap any barrel or whatever, this is what you want to do. Now you can take out this, you can actually look in there, and this is greasy and filthy, as it should be. For a testing gecko that's doing a lot of work, I might actually get some cleanup going. While I'm at it, yeah, wow, there's a lot of dust and dirt on this O-ring and on this padding. Yeah, there you go, about maintaining. This is how you get to your plunger in order to clean it and maintain it. Not that this actually needed it because it was working just fine, but while I'm here, might as well. Alright. Don't forget to re-lube your plunger when you've done this. I have this O-ring lube that I'm applying around about in here. Awesome. Now this goes back in here. Nice. And done. Alright, so this is your gecko disassembled in all its pieces that are not on screen anymore because I put them out of my way, but there you go. This is your gecko disassembly, and as I said, depending on what you need to maintain, what you want to repair, what you need to work on, and what you want to swap out, you don't have to go all the way, or you might actually have to go all the way. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys to understand where the important screws are and the important bits. Remember that all the M2, all the small screws are in plastic, and also the screws that hold the mag release or the mag detent are in plastic. And well, just because I didn't talk about it, the screws that are holding the magazine base are also in plastic. For all of those, it's the same thing. Do not over tighten them, not use too much force when opening them as well as when retightening them, and you should be fine. As I said, this frame, like I can still see the threads. I don't know if you can see on camera. I can still see the threads for these M2 holes right here, and I have taken this on and off for, I don't know, countless times. So as I said earlier, the next videos in this series are going to address several individual problems and how to fix them or how to maintain them, how to solve them. I hope this is helpful for you so you can enjoy your gecko for even longer and love them as much as I do. If you have an issue with the gecko or a problem or something that you can't figure out on your own, and you think that this is going to be good in this video series and is not yet covered by this video series, make sure to, you know, just send me a message and we talk about it. If you have an idea of what I should do, if you have a question that is, you know, that you wanted to know about how to do whichever what part, let me know in the comments below. And other than that, thank you very much for watching. Remember the usual like, share, subscribe and all that jazz. And I see you in the next video. Happy modding, happy nerfing, happy gecko maintaining. Love and sunshine.